Good morning. It is, what is it, the date today? Well, I know it's 2 days before Christmas Day, so that must make it the 23rd. Good morning, everybody. It's the 23rd of December today. And first, before we begin, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Gradle, who, as always, is standing to my right side. And I'd like to say good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Rosemary. Good morning, everyone.
Now, I don't know if I'm looking a bit skewed into this camera. Is my head cut off or not? I mean, I don't even know if my head's cut off, Chris.
It is not.
Okay, that's all right then. Well, look. See the shiny? I've got the shiny, glittery. I don't know if you can see it. And the earrings. It is, everybody. It's Christmas. So, Chris, have you got any Christmas glitter on today?
No, not yet. It's still a work day, so.
Okay, well, here's the deal. I I've been making or getting the fruit and stuff ready to make my Christmas pudding. Reese saw someone making a Christmas pudding on the British Baking Show, and he said, "Rosie, can you make those?" And I said, "Of course, darling. Of course I can." And he said, "Can we have one for Christmas?" Now, he doesn't like Christmas cake, which does not bode well for the Christmas pudding either. But anyway, it is what it is, right, Chris? We can only do our very best. I'm not sure if he's going to enjoy it or if he's going to just turn his nose up. But anyway, we're making it just the same. And because I'm sort of fiddling with the camera just a little bit there, I'm not cut off, am I, Chris? I think that's a bit better.
No, you're fine.
And so the tradition of a Christmas pudding, much more so than a Christmas cake, although it's tradition with the Christmas cake as well. But with the Christmas pudding is probably if you've got a good recipe, it's probably a Victorian recipe. It's what they used to make in the olden days, as my grandson would say. And the tradition is that everyone in the house, when you're making Christmas pudding, everybody has to have a stir. Now I take it to the Christmas cake level as well. So I'm getting all the fruit prepared. I've got my dried fruit covered in boiling water. You're really interested in this, aren't you all? You can see that you're really interested in this, right? Anyway, it's covered in boiling water, so it plumps up the fruit. I've washed the cherries. I've washed the orange peel. What else have I? Anyway, and that's as far as I've gotten so far. But this Christmas pudding, I have to tell you, you know, we all love. Hopefully, we all love our own cooking, or at least we tend to like it. Otherwise, we wouldn't bother cooking it, would we? But there are certain things that I'm only going to speak for me. There are certain things that I make which I know are the best ever tasting. This, let me tell you, this Christmas pudding is one of those. It's an old recipe. The good news about this Christmas pudding is that you can make it 3 days before Christmas if you want to. I'm making it obviously 2 days before. You can make it 3 days before Christmas, leave it in the refrigerator. And yes, you know, all of you people who sort of get the steamer out and you put the basin in the steamer, what else do we do? Or you sort of cook it in a pot of water or something like this. This Christmas pudding, might I tell you, goes in the microwave for 3 minutes. Yes, people, 3 minutes. If you want that recipe, all you've got to do is email me, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com, or how about this, Chris at rosemaryaltea.com. And we'll send you, it might be a bit late for this year, but Christmas pudding is good to eat anytime anyway. We'll be eating our Christmas pudding probably during Christmas and New Year. And I love it, but I think I might be the only one in the family who's eating it. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing today. Well, I got a bit lost and I wasn't paying attention to time, so I have to apologise. All of this rigmarole so that I can apologise to you if I am late. If you were wondering where I was in the kitchen washing my cherries. So there you have it. All right, Chris, how are you doing? Do we have anybody there?
Oh, yeah, we have lots of people there. Karen is writing us from Canada saying, "Good morning. My grandmother always has Christmas pudding Flamed it and made a wonderful caramel sauce that all us kids loved and would eat at bowlfuls.
Right. Well, we're going to have because I'm also making a trifle. I made some little baby meringues that my grandson's going to love. So we've got at least 3 desserts plus the Christmas cake. We've got 3 desserts plus the Christmas cake to eat on Christmas Day. And of course, we're not going to get into all of them. So the Christmas pudding, whereas I would normally make a nice creme anglaise to go with it, or a nice brandy butter or something like that, I think I'm just going to get out the whipped cream because I'll have a big bowl of it ready. And we might have it with that because I should be a little bit lazy with that part of it. Anyway, so, well, Karen, get cooking. Find your grandmother's recipe. Chris.
Annika says, "Good morning. That Christmas pudding sounds delicious."
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I shall, because on Christmas Day, we will, even if nobody eats it, we will set it alight. And the way you set it alight is that you pour brandy over the top and then you strike a match and this fabulous blue flames come out. And if you have the sort of lights very, very low and you sort of make the right atmosphere, it really does look quite good. And believe it or not, you don't actually taste the brandy, you taste the flavor of the brandy. But in the cooking of alcohol, you get rid of the alcohol, so there'll be just the flavor left, which is delicious. All right, Chris, how are you doing for Christmas? Chris, what's going on in your house?
Honestly, we really haven't begun too much. My son and daughter-in-law arrive this evening, and maybe that's when all the festivities will begin. I
Well,
do
that
have a
sounds
kitty that likes to munch on the nativity scene. He
oh,
hasn't gotten into the Christmas tree yet, though.
well, do you like my Christmas tree? It's actually my daughter's Christmas tree. What do you think?
We're getting lots of comments about the beautiful decorations behind you.
Well, we've also got parcels and stuff. It's not exactly tidy in here because when Reese is at school, which he is, it's his last day today when he's at school, we're frantically trying to get everything wrapped and sorted out and so on and so forth. You know what it's like because, hey, Santa needs help, right? You've got to help Santa wrap the presents that he's going to bring when he comes. Anyway, let's move on from that. So how are you feeling, Chris?
That's hard to say. I'm actually trying not to think.
Okay, and am I making you think? I just want to say to all of you out there who are either on your own for whatever reason, who you've lost someone this year, or you're missing someone. I know a lot of you still have people in the army that people who are away, either in the army or the navy, whatever the forces, I should say, or there are people, for whatever reason working away and can't make it back home. So I know that there are a lot of you who are missing your special loved one this year. But Chris, I did have a message from Mike this morning. I've been instructed to call you on Christmas Day. He's given me my instructions. What can I tell you? I think he thinks that I'm his personal messenger. I've been instructed to absolutely give you a call on Christmas morning, which I shall do. And there is also in the package that I sent to you a really, really, really teeny tiny little parcel. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's a teeny tiny little thing like this, which was a suggestion of Mike's for you. So when you're sort of scrabbling through the box, be careful because you could easily lose it. You might think it's a bit of paper or something. But anyway, that's at Mike's suggestion. So there you have it.
Awesome.
Okay, so any questions? Anything we've got going out there?
Carlos is saying, "I'm feeling a little wary these days. How can I be more positive and enjoy being in the moment?"
Well, I'm fully aware how much effort it takes. especially when we're not feeling happy, especially when we're feeling that, life is probably, playing tricks against us, or fate is not going our way, or whatever it is. But I think that the only way that I can suggest to all of you out there is it's not going to come easy to you. Here's what I wish. I wish I could wave a magic wand. Gregor's laughing at me. Wave a magic wand, and all of you out there, every single person on this planet would find solace, would find happiness of some kind, even if it's only a momentary thing, but finding happiness and finding solace is something that we just simply have to work on, and it's something we have to work on ourselves. The way that I personally work on it, and this is not easy, is to say my mantra. Most of you know my mantra is double happiness, but you can have a mantra which says, I will find joy and all good things will come to me, using power words. A mantra is a sequence of words of power. I, can, will. And the more we use those power words, the more positive we will become, and the easier it will be for us to sort of hold on to that. Of course, power words are also can't, won't, shan't. Your power words can be positive and they can be negative. So a mantra that's going to work for us is a sequence of words of power, of positive power. And we string them together. We say them 10 times over, repeat them 10 times over, 3 times a day. And even if you don't want to say it, you say, I will find happiness, I will find joy. Even if you're gritting your teeth and it's really hard for you to say those things, just do it, because if you do it, it will, I promise you, it will work. It may take a while, but it will work for you. So Carlos, I'm sending you lots of my good energy. So, just keep going with that, my lovely. Chris.
Judith says, my sister passed on to the next dimension of life on the 19th, her birthday. She passed on at almost the same minute she was born. This is so very painful.
How interesting, though. Isn't that interesting? You see my daughter come walking by in the background there. It is interesting. And yes, of course, it's painful. The loss of our loved ones is painful. The only thing we can do is to please remember, please, all of you remember, that they are not lost to us. They are right there. They're right by our side and will be there with us. Whenever we think of them, they will be there. Whenever we send our thoughts to them and our prayers to them, they will be there. They will try to be there for us whenever they can. Chris.
Tammy saying, hi there. I'm in desperate need of guidance in love and life. Please, I'm feeling more lost than I've ever felt before.
Well, I'm going to suggest that, Tammy, I don't know where you are, I don't know where you live, I don't know what your circumstances are, but I'm going to suggest that maybe it's something that you might want to consider having a consultation about, or maybe it's something that you might want to think about, what can you do to help yourself. I know it's difficult in times of COVID for people to go out and about and to meet other people, but you can do it virtually, and you can join. There are lots of different groups that we can join, where we have the same interests of other people in those groups, and so we can, we sometimes, sometimes desperation calls for action. So I think if you're thinking that you can sit there, and this applies to all of us, isn't it? If you think you can sit there and, feel all these things, but not have to do anything about anything to change what's going on in your life, you're wrong. You've got to take steps. You've got to take action. And I think maybe it's time that you started to think about what actions you can take. One of those actions would be to join a group of people who are like-minded, who have the same hobbies as you or the same interests as you, and sort of build up a rapport and build up friendships. I think that's what you have to do, even though you don't want to. It's easier, I think, to go online, maybe virtually, to join a group than it actually is how we used to have to do it. We'd have to go walk into a room where all those strangers were there and we were the only one who sort of felt that we didn't know anyone. It can be very nerve-wracking, very scary when we walk into places that we don't know anybody else there. But virtually, I think it's easier to do that because if we don't like it, we can always click out, can't we? But taking action, I think, is very important. Don't wait for life to come to you. You've got to go out. You've got to reach out for it and do something about taking it. Chris.
Cheryl says, I make myself feel good by sharing with others. This morning, I gave a huge pumpkin pie to a stranger.
Oh, nice. Very good job. I personally don't like pumpkin pie, but I bet you make a good one, Sharon. I bet you make a really good one. I'd like, what was the stranger's reaction? Did they look at you as if you'd gone mad, or did they feel, wow, this is something great, this is something special? I wonder, maybe it's a person who's never had a smile from anybody in days and days, and there you come and hand them something special. Good for you. Chris, excuse me.
Mark says, this is the second year I have gifted myself for Christmas morning. Since September, I'd purchase things from Amazon or eBay or stores, keep them in their bags, then place them in bags with tissue and wrapper.
Oh,
And now my
nice.
Christmas tree has packages all over my tree. You see, since I'm alone, no one's to gift me. I did this for myself and I'm not returning these gifts.
Good for you, Mark. Oh, I like that.
I made my Merry Christmas merry, and many should do this for themselves. I'm on year 2.
Oh, good for you. Oh, well, actually, what I've done is with a couple of things, I've actually bought stuff on Amazon, sent it to my daughter because it's the easiest thing to do, isn't it? Sent them to Samantha and said, here, put this in my stocking. Or here, wrap this up. You can give me this as a gift. So it's sort of the same. And Samantha, of course, she does buy a gift or two for me as well, but I like to sort of bulk it up a bit. So anyway, yeah, that's a good idea, Mark. Right, a really, really good idea. And for those of you who can't afford to go out buying, just go in the kitchen, take a look and see what you've got. All you need is flour, sugar, butter. Oh, look, you've got all of the ingredients for sugar cookies right there. So you can make them, hide them away, and then bring them out on Christmas morning too. I went out and bought some sherry the other day. Yes, we're having a sherry. Can you believe it? Like, it'll be what, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Now Reese is older, we give him a timeline. Do not wake us up before 7, or do not wake us up before 7:30. I'm not quite sure what the timeline's going to be, excuse me, this Christmas, but then we settle down and yes, believe it or not, however early it is, it's tradition in our house to have a glass of sherry as we open our gifts. Usually we have a glass of sherry and a mince pie, but I didn't get round to making any this year, so that's that. Chris.
Cheryl's saying, when people pass away, do they realize how bad they have been to someone else in their earth life?
Oh, yes, yes, I do. I think so. I think we all, every one of us, doesn't matter how much you think you've been a good girl, every one of us has those moments where we perhaps were not nice to somebody, or we said something we wish we could take back, or we've done something that we're not perhaps proud of. And I think we see these things very, very clearly, very clearly. If we're really fortunate, though, we see those things before we pass into the spirit world, don't we? And we're able to rectify them then. Anyway, Chris.
Carolyn wants to know, can we all imagine gathering around Gray Eagle's fire?
Well, I do every day actually, but yes, that would be a really, excuse me, that would be a nice thing to do. Maybe we'll, between Christmas and New Year, Chris, I don't know how busy you are, I don't know what you're up to, but maybe we could sort of slot something in where we all join together around Grey Eagle's campfire. That would be nice, right? Yes.
Helen wants to know, what do you want for Christmas?
Well, see, I think I'm one of the lucky ones because I've already got what I want for Christmas. I don't want gifts. I've got more clothes than I know what to do with. I've got plenty of jewelry, as you can see. I've got, I have no desires for shoes, or well, I've got more shoes than I know what to do as well. I have no desire for material things at all. I've got everything I need in the kitchen. I've got everything I need in the home. What I really would like for Christmas, I actually have. What I really want for Christmas is to see my daughter smile and to see my grandson smile. That's all I want for Christmas, for them to be happy and for them to be getting on with their lives and living their lives the best way they can. Every morning for the last, since Sunday, because I arrived on Sunday, to my to my daughter's, and on the front door there's a big poster, Merry Christmas, Mosey, and drawings and pictures from Reese. He does that every time I come. And then walk inside and there's a Christmas tree and all the Christmas lights all lit up, which is beautiful. But the most important thing of all was, as I went to step in the doorway, my grandson was holding onto my legs so tight, and he was so excited because, you know, aside from the fact that he's excited to see me, it's also the start of Christmas. He knows if I'm there, Christmas is coming very soon afterwards. So there's a lot of excitement, and there's a lot of love, and there's a lot of happiness in this house. And every morning I've had Reese coming to give me a kiss. Every time he goes to school, he comes to give me a kiss, and he does this to my nose, and I do that to his nose. What more could we want for Christmas but to see our children happy? And of course, on Christmas morning, my happiness and my joy is going to be watching him and seeing his face light up. So and that's all I want. That, and I've got it already. So okay, Chris.
Dean says, please put my new 13-day-old grandson, Ewan, in your healing prayers. He's in the hospital with my daughter with a strange infection.
Okay, we definitely will, Dean. Please let us know how he goes on, would you please?
Carol says, most fond greetings to you, Gray Eagle.
Thank you.
This may seem small to some, but my beloved dog, Goostel, has gone missing in a thunderstorm.
Oh,
Can you give any help or advice?
be patient. I think he might return, but please keep us posted on that, would you? And I'll ask Gregor to help too. Okay, Chris. And also, if I can just say, it is not a small thing. It is not an inconsequential thing, and I'm glad you asked.
Shamanth is saying 2 days ago on the 21st of December, which also marked the first death anniversary of my brother-in-law Nagesh, I had a dream in which I saw his spirit or aura. Is there any message from him?
Well, I think you got it, didn't you, when you saw that? Wasn't that your message? Just think about it, my darling. He'll come and show you and let you know that he's fine, that he's okay, but also, more importantly, that he's there with you and thinking of you too. So I don't think you need me for a message, because I think he gave you one. Chris.
Eric is sending Merry Christmas from Northern California, where it's finally raining.
Oh, right. Oh, and Eric, what are you doing for Christmas is what I want to know.
Let's see. Then Mark says, hoping for Gray Eagle's response. Because a day or time is paradise is not of earth time. What or how do our loved ones celebrate this particular holiday? I am laughing as I type this, but does Jesus have a big speech? Does all of heaven gather and sing? I always wondered.
Oh, okay. Right, here's Grey Eagle's answer to you. I'm not sure if you're going to be ready for this, but what they celebrate in the spirit world is joy. What they celebrate in the spirit world is gentleness. What they celebrate in the spirit world is kindness every day. You know, these holidays that we celebrate, they are, you know, created by man, very often based in spirituality. I'm not that doesn't make them less and doesn't make them less important, but I think that, you know, there are so many more things that we can celebrate. And I think that, you know, you're talking about, does Jesus make a speech? I think that I think personally that if Jesus knew the inspired love that he created with his being on this earth, I think he'd be overjoyed with that. What else? What more is there for him to say? I'm putting words in his mouth, but what more is there for him to say right now? And Gradle has put his hand on my shoulder, apparently hit the nail on the head. So, you know, when we celebrate, we use our holidays, we use our celebration times, we should use them wisely, not necessarily as an excuse to feed ourselves and gift ourselves. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's these things, these times, these holidays are reminders that we're a community. We are a cluster of earth souls. We are a community. Every one of us is just as important as everyone else. And so, you know, in your own small communities, let's bring peace and harmony. Even if your community is in your own home, try this Christmas in celebrating. Try this Christmas to bring peace and harmony into your heart and into your soul, because I think that's all the spirit world wants us to do. Chris.
Betta says, first of all, you are sparkling.
Yes, look, I don't. Can you see my sparkles, Chris?
Absolutely. No, it's so festive there in the home. So she continues, I feel a positive change in me, an inner growth that
Good.
people who know me feel. Where is your opinion? And also, Gray Eagle, think about this, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Do you actually know what she's asking here, Chris? Do you know what she's saying?
I think she's looking for confirmation that the change that she's feeling is it really happening.
Well, yes, because you should always go with your own feelings and your own instincts. And we know ourselves, when we look properly, we know ourselves better than anyone else. It's just that most of us don't look at ourselves properly, do we? But I think, you know, these are great changes that come from within. So celebrate those changes and stop all the self-doubt. Chris.
Carol's saying, thank you for your message. I miss my Doodles dog so very much. Life isn't the same without him near.
No,
So thank
no.
you very much in advance.
Well, please keep us posted on that. Chris.
Maggie says, my grandson wrote a note to my daughter in heaven. The smile on his face was so precious.
Oh, yes. Wow. I'd love to read that note. How nice is that? How wonderful is that?
Tammy wants to know, is there any message from my loved ones that have passed? My gorgeous Nana died Christmas Eve when I was 15 at our home. I'd love to know if she remembers what I used to ask her to do when she dies.
Well, I do know why people want messages, but you all know this is a very short show. We don't have time for doing that. If all I did was give messages here, we wouldn't have time for anything else. What I'm going to suggest that you do, and anyone out there, anyone listening who would like a message, we just recently had a Saturday morning, over 3 hours of messages from Gregor and myself. 3 hours where people in the spirit world were able to come through and give messages to their loved ones. And it was amazing. It was fantastic. And we had so many people write to us afterwards to say, wow, 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 wow. That was incredible. And thank you for the message. So keep watching on our website, because we do webinars on a fairly regular basis now, sort of probably once every 6 weeks to 2 months, where we spend time giving people messages, and 3 hours of sitting there giving messages to all of those of you who have come to join with us in that webinar. I find it's amazing. Chris, what do you get out of that, do you think? What would people get out of that?
Well, you were just saying this is a short show, so I don't think we could list them all. But off the top of my head, inspiration, hope, confirmation, um, tears, laughter. It's an awesome community. Everybody supports each other.
They do,
Everyone
they really do.
cheers on the person who's getting either advice or confirmation or
Yeah,
validation.
yeah.
Um, it's just it's like watching a miracle take place in front of you.
I think I do feel, at the end of it all, I am usually just a bit exhausted. 3 solid hours going, focusing. It's the focusing, and it's the paying attention and trying to listen to every word. It's the 3 hours of excuse me, intense focusing that we're trying to pay attention to here. So at the end of it, I'm usually exhausted, but always I'm inspired, because it's as often as I do this, and as often as I give messages, I'm still as much agog over the whole process as everybody else is. I find it just as amazing as I did when I first began all of those many years ago. Chris.
Megan says, "Good morning, beautiful ladies.
Good morning.
I'm struggling with a message my husband received from his aunt that his dad is stuck at his home in Mexico. I wondered if you could validate, is he okay, or if he has a message."
Where did that message come from? Who was it who sent the message? And as you're saying this, I do feel compelled to say that there are many people who are isolated at this time for various different reasons. But I am told, Gregor tells me to tell you, please try not to worry too much. But I'd like to know where that message came from. Chris.
Cheryl says, "I have, quote, adopted a family in the Philippines, and their father/grandfather needs prayers to recover from a stroke.
Okay.
Please send healing to him. He is only 67.
Absolutely, we will. I think, there are lots of programs to adopt a family, and I think it's such an amazing thing that people do, to adopt a child, or not literally, not physically necessarily, but to pay for a child's schooling or to help the family in some way. I think it's an amazing thing that we can all do it. We all can find ways and means of doing it. To support someone, even if we only have very little ourselves, there's always a little to spare. If we think about it, we work hard, there's always a little more to spare for somebody other than ourselves. Chris.
Michael is on,
Hi,
saying,
Michael.
"Rosemary, happy holidays.
Thank you.
You look great. I
This
recently
is my Christmas outfit. Well, one of them anyway.
he says, "I recently met a woman who lost her 2 young adult daughters at the same time
Ooh,
very recently,
right.
and I couldn't resist the urge to let her know that her daughters survived death.
Good.
I sent her a YouTube link to your Lisa Gibbons appearance.
Oh.
My hopes are that this brings her some comfort in this holiday season."
Michael, thank you for that. And that's why we do this. We do, like to try to give people hope and some understanding of the fact that there possibly is a life after death. I know that my first book, The Eagle and the Rose, is one of those things that is recommended by doctors, by psychiatrists, by but even by ministers of the cloth, by the church, by the clergy, believe it or not, that book has been recommended to people all over the world, because it has in that book, because it's written simply, because it's written in story form, people can really understand and grasp the concept and grasp the idea that, wait a minute, there really is a life after death. And because the tone is so very conversational as I write, because that's the way I write. I write as if I'm having a conversation, as if I'm telling a story, so to speak, which I am, but I'm telling true stories, and true stories of people's lives and people's experiences. That book, amongst most, I think, is the one that we would recommend. So, if that lady comes back to you, Michael, recommend The Eagle and the Rose as well, because she might like to read some of the encounters that people have had with me. But I think it's great that we can recommend and we can say to people, why don't you go watch this, or why don't you go watch that? And I know that, the Lisa Gibbons show was amazing, gave so many people the opportunity to see me at work, not just me, but other mediums as well, I'm sure, but gave people the opportunity to see me at work and working with the spirit world, and bringing parents their loved ones, bringing parents their children from the spirit world. I mean, there's so many. I did so many Lisa Gibbons shows, and there's so many fantastic and amazing experiences that you can find on there. So, and other shows as well. So, thank you very much, Michael, for you're helping me to do my job. Chris.
Claire says, I've been thinking a lot of a woman who was my mentor. She had always said I reminded her of herself.
Oh.
She passed away in 2007, but I've been feeling her so close to me lately. She passed at age 56, and now that I'm 56, she's worrying me that she's calling me. Does this make sense?
It does, and I do understand why you're worried, but I think that it's probably that you've become more aware. You've become more aware of the connection between you. When you start to think about these things and you start to worry about things, you think, oh, is it my time? Has somebody come for me? But no, I think it's that you have become much more aware of connections and much more aware of energy. And it's possible that she is sort of trying to let you know that she's around you and helping you. So please don't be afraid of this. I don't think anyone's calling you home quite yet. Chris.
So Megan's responding back to your question. Megan had the question about the father trapped in the home.
Yes.
So this is the rest of the explanation. His dad had a stroke on Christmas and died months later alone. His aunt lives in his home now, and she said she thinks she hears him and thinks he is stuck in the home. We see and hear owls since his passing. They believe seeing owls is a sign of something bad. My husband and I think they are beautiful. So she's looking for some further advice.
Got it. Okay. Well, different things mean different things in different cultures. I think that owls are beautiful, incredibly beautiful. But I know that there are some cultures who believe that owls and other birds and other animals are significant, or the foretellers of death and so on and so forth. But I don't think that is what is going on here. And when you say stuck in the house, I'm asking Grey Eagle now. I totally understand what it is that you're saying here. I don't think he's stuck anywhere. I think he might be sort of tapping on the window, so to speak. I think he might be tapping to say, hey, I'm here, don't forget me. He might be trying to get someone to take notice of him, but I do not think he's stuck. Grey Eagle tells me he is not stuck. Do not worry, as he said before to you. Please do not worry. And the owl thing, actually, I think is it's quite remarkable, because Greg always tells me that birds, large birds, any kind of birds, small birds, large birds, any kind of birds, they often come to us simply to give us a message, and that message could be, it could be a warning, it could be a foretelling, but I don't think in this case it's a foreboding thing. I think it's a good thing, and so just pay attention, because I think he's probably trying to say to you, don't worry, I'm here. I'm here. Okay, Chris.
Nancy's asking, who can I call on to help me with focusing on my studying for a new career?
Um, well, I think you can call on your own self and your own soul. You've got everything that it takes, Nancy. I'm going to sneeze in a minute, excuse me. You've got everything it takes, Nancy, to be whoever it is you want to be. And you've got an inner strength, and you don't even realize that you've got it. But you've got an inner strength and an inner determination. So use that. You know how many times things have been bad for you, and you've always managed to, even if it's been difficult, you've always managed to scrape out of it. That's your inner strength. That's the inner you, letting you know, hey, you can do this. Okay, Chris.
Judith wrote, call on Samantha. Because remember, we have Samantha also available for consultations,
Yes,
not the
we
same
do.
type as you.
Because if you want help and advice and guidance in, what your talents are, what you do best, and which career or which area you should be looking at, Samantha is certainly available for consultations. Samantha being my daughter, just in case anybody doesn't know that. Okay, Chris.
Shamant says, thank you for answering my earlier question, Rosemary. Do you have any advice or message from Great Eagle for me for the coming year?
Well, I think I could hear it so clearly. I could hear it really, really clearly. And I don't think this message is just for you. I think it's for all of you. And the message is quite clearly, search for the joy. Find the joy. In everyone's life, there are moments of joy if we look for them. So stop looking for the negatives, look for the positives, and find the joy in life. Chris.
Lorraine says, Merry Christmas, Rosemary, to your family, Gray Eagle. I so enjoy your show, your upbeat way and positive messages, and your sense of humor.
Well, not everybody, excuse me, not everybody likes my sense of humor. A lot of people think that my sense of humor is maybe, could, but it's a British sense of humor. What can I tell you? And if you were to watch our cracking up with my friends Kay and Kay, our cracking up show was so much fun. And, we Brits, we do have a way of laughing at ourselves very often, and laughing in the most dire of circumstances. We do try to bring the joy and the fun and the lighter side of life. Chris.
I'm reminded of some lessons that you had given us years and years and years ago, having to do with termite mentality, and how some people tend to be prone to be more of, let's call it a negative Nelly, versus finding the joy and the positivity in life.
Yes.
And I was speaking with someone just last night about this subject. So, how is it a person that's either conditioned to respond to the negative or just naturally moves to the negative could turn to find things more joyful and more positive?
Well, I think that, each of us has a certain type of energy, and each of us has that kind of energy which is naturally leans towards the more positive or naturally leans towards the more negative. But I think that when we realize, and whoever it was you're talking to was, they were lucky to have you point that out to them, Chris. I think that when you realize that you're going down that negative road again, and when you realize that this is your habit, and when you realize that how damaging it can be, and how devastating it can make your life, because all you're doing is looking at, well, what if this or what if that, in the negative, as opposed to, but what if this or what if that in the positive. You've got to, it's hard for people who are naturally negative to, to break the habit, to get out of their own head. but with effort, we can do it. And I think, the termites in life are those people who are always willing to, even if you're excited about something, they're always willing to say something like, "Oh, I'm so pleased for you, but are you sure this is what you really want?" They put in those nasty little doubts and those nasty little negativities. They put them in our heads. And for those of us who are naturally negative, who are naturally leaning towards negativity, for those of us who do that, it's so easy to go down that road. So we just have to, it's called discipline. We have to have the discipline not to do it. And the more you do look for the joy, and the more you do look for the positive, the more you do realize, oh gosh, I'm doing it again, the more you're able to stop and work towards the positive.
All right. Carol says, I have the eagle in the rose on my kitchen table.
You do.
Right now, it just jumped out of one of my boxes and onto the table.
Uh-oh. maybe someone's pushing it at you, saying, about time you read this one again. Thanks for letting us know that. That's funny. Chris.
Aslan says, I love the British sense of humor. Helen's saying, do you have any thoughts on when this COVID crap will go away, or at least when the mandates will calm down? I feel I'm living in a prison. It's not right how they are treating people enforcing these jabs.
No, it isn't right. You're exactly right. But it's never going to go away entirely. We're stuck with COVID just the way we're stuck with the common cold. Get used to it. It's going to be a way of life. However, at some point, when people realize that it is, very rarely life-threatening. Do you know how life-threatening influenza is? There are thousands of people every year who die of influenza, but nobody's saying you've got to wear a mask for influenza. And nobody's saying, oh yeah, we've got to isolate ourselves. Nobody's saying that about influenza. And yet influenza is one of the most prevalent and catching of the, I'm not sure you call it a disease anyway. I mean, look it up. And, this COVID thing, I am in New York City, and I have to tell you that when you put the TV on in New York City, I'm going to say every 20 minutes or so, whatever it is you're watching, it stops and up comes this flash, and doctors are talking about it, and nurses are talking about it, and politicians are talking about it. Keep safe for Christmas, wear a mask, all of that. I mean, not that I disagree entirely. We all should take precautions. We all should wear masks when we're out in public. Of course we should. We should do the things that we're meant to do. But my goodness, the people of New York City talk about brainwashing, and the politicians need to cut it out. But nobody is strong enough or brave enough or has enough money to do anything about it. Nobody can fight it, because it's a, and I think it's all about control, the government wanting control, the politicians wanting control. I know some of you are going to disagree with me, but this is my point of view, and I am entitled to my point of view, as you are of yours. So, I think the politicians, it's about control, and boy, oh boy, fear is the one thing that's going to control our human race. If people say, oh, you're in danger of, and it comes from the politicians who are supposed to know, or if it comes from the doctors who are supposed to know. Do you know, though, that there's as many doctors who disagree with what's going on with COVID than there are doctors who are pushing for what we're doing for COVID? Do you also know, I'm amazed actually, and I do have to say this to you all, you're not going to like me for it, some of you, I know that, but look, here's the one really, really good thing about COVID. Are you ready for this? It's a really great thing that's happened with COVID, because do you know that nobody gets a cold anymore? Do you know that nobody gets the flu anymore? Do you know that people don't die of cancer anymore? They don't even die of accidents, some of them, because do you know, every time a hospital writes a death due to COVID, the hospital gets money. So I think,
not every time.
well, my daughter's correcting me, not every time, but a huge amount of the time. So I think, for those of you who are afraid of COVID, don't be afraid of COVID, because it's the one thing after all of these years, centuries of having the common cold. It's cured the common cold, because nobody has a common cold anymore. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what is happening. Please stay safe. Please have your shots if you feel that they're necessary to you. Please wear your masks, especially when you're out in public, and especially if you're in large gatherings. Please wash your hands. Please take precautions as you would in any similar circumstance. But please, please, everybody, stop being so afraid, because it's the politicians and it's the media and it's everybody revving it up until all we can think of is COVID, 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 and we have no other life to live. So again, could we find the positives? Can we go for the positives in it? The positive is nobody gets a common cold anymore. Don't you think that's funny? I think it's funny. Unfortunately, it's also true. Nobody has a cold anymore. Nobody has a cough anymore. Every time anybody feels the slightest headache, they rush to get, well, certainly in New York City, they rush to get tested. And 99.9% of the time, they come back COVID positive. Doesn't that strike you as a little bit odd? Is there, I'm questioning this now, not saying there is, but is there a conspiracy going on? Because it certainly makes me wonder. What is going on in our world? Politicians controlling us, politicians pulling the strings, and unfortunately we're like puppets. I know that people are afraid to say this. I know that many of you will never watch me ever again because I'm telling you what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking. But boy, oh boy, I am so tired of this brainwashing activity that goes on. And I want to say to all of you, stay strong. Stay strong. Do what you have to do to stay safe. Be sensible about it, but please stop panicking, because there's no need. Chris, boy oh boy, how many people did we lose during that speech?
Well, we didn't lose any, but we're right at time, Rosemary. It'd probably be really nice if we could wrap this up with
Can we wrap it up with a really nice and a positive
Christmas message or whatever.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. Chris, we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and
a happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
That tidings we bring, we really do, to you and your King. If you celebrate Jesus, I do. We wish you a Merry Christmas, everybody. Eat plenty, stay warm, stay with your families, be kind, be gentle, find the joy in the children. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you want to know more about us, if you want to know what we're up to, go to our website, rosemary@rosemaryaLtea.com. If you want to write to the office or have questions or want to let us know how you're doing, Chris, Kris, @rosemary.altea.com or rosemary@rosemary.altea.com. Did I miss anything, Chris?
No, I think you covered it all.
There's no story, by the way, on Saturday, because the story in this house will be how we had to get up really early and go through the presents and then lay out the tracks. And yes, train tracks, lay out the tracks and put the aeroplanes in place and make sure that we've got places for trains to go. And of course, I should be cooking at the same time. What is my Christmas dinner? Well, it is, unfortunately, I did try to get out of it, but everybody else got overruled. Turkey, which is fine. And let me see, sausages wrapped in bacon, roast potatoes, mashed potatoes, roasted parsnips and carrots, roasted onions. Are you salivating yet, Chris? What else?
Definitely.
Brussels sprouts, stuffing, Gravy. I can't think of anything. I'm sure there's other stuff going on the plate. Yes, I know I said don't be greedy, but here we are. We're going to be having a great time. And for dessert, we are having my version of an English Victorian trifle, which is, oh God, it's amazing. People talk about it. You know, people say to Samantha, I'll only come if your mum's going to make that trifle. So the nice Victorian trifle, I've made little baby meringues for Reese and his friends who are coming. And what else have I done? Oh yes, the Christmas pudding. You know about the Christmas pudding. And I'm sure we'll have lots of other goodies. And we're going to go out and get some really good cheese as well. As if we've not got enough food to eat, we're going out later on, my daughter and I, we're going to get some really, really nice cheese and port on Christmas Eve. Very nice, yes. So, Chris, from Mike, I'll be talking to you anyway, but from Mike, because he's tapping me on the shoulder, he's there. He's with you all. For all of you who are spending Christmas, whether you're spending it on your own or with others, we're never on our own, you know. Our loved ones in the spirit world are always with us. So make sure you get a glass of something nice, even if it's only water. Make sure you get a glass of something nice and snuggle down. It's Christmas Eve tomorrow. Snuggle down and get yourselves ready and wake up on Christmas morning feeling blessed, because that's what I should be feeling. I should be feeling blessed. Reese and I will be decorating the cake. Did you think we'd forgotten? We do it every year. Tomorrow at some point. So we'll send you the video of that on YouTube. So have a very blessed Christmas, everybody. Have a very blessed weekend. And we shall see you. Will we see them between Christmas and New Year, Chris? Maybe so. Next Thursday, maybe.
Sounds good.
Until then, we all love you. Find joy. Find love. Lots of blessings to you all. Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye bye.